In a certain sense, I always struggle on this day, on Ash Wednesday, to really figure out what it is I need to preach about. And I think part of that is because we read this gospel passage about doing the things that we do in secret and kind of living our spiritual life in somewhat of a private way. And then immediately we turn around and we all put these huge black crosses on our forehead. And it's difficult, right, to reconcile those two things. And it's actually a very American problem, right? Because in most places in the world, when we receive ashes, they're sprinkled on the top of our head rather than traced in a cross on our forehead. And that's a very intentional thing, right? Because this action of receiving ashes, this kind of movement of the heart and of the body in some sense, is meant to be an act of penance, right? An act of penitence. And what Jesus is doing in today's gospel is he's not saying don't be a witness to your faith, right? Because elsewhere we know that Jesus tells us we need to go out and we need to preach the faith. We need to bring Jesus to people and bring people to Jesus. Right? And so not every aspect of our life, not every aspect of our spiritual life is meant to be a secret and hidden. But it seems to me that what Jesus is saying today is that our penance, right, should be a secret. Right? Our penance should be something that is kind of kept between us and the Lord. Right? Especially in this age of social media, there's a lot of kind of maybe not pressure, but maybe pressure, right? To share the things that we're doing for Lent or to post a picture of our ash cross, right? I know a few years back there was that hashtag campaign. But what Jesus is doing in today's gospel, I think, is telling us that our works of penance, our prayer, our fasting, and our almsgiving need to be between us and the Lord. Because those things are about repairing broken relationship due to sin. Right? Those things are about helping us, right, grow in love for God. They're about helping us turn away from our sin and turn towards good so that we can live in right relationship with Him. When we live in right relationship with Him, then, that relationship produces good fruit in us. Things like charity, joy, patience, kindness, self-control, gentleness, generosity. Those fruits then become the outward sign of the thing that is inwardly done. And what we've done in secret, right, our prayer, our fasting, our almsgiving, those things that are between us and the Lord, then produce in us those things that we would call a good Christian witness. The things in our life that bring other people to know of God's love for them, to draw them back into this relationship with God. And that's what Lent's about, right? It's about us being drawn more deeply into a relationship with God. And then that relationship with God is going to produce the external things in us that draw more people to Him. So whatever it is that you've chosen to do for Lent, whether it's fasting or prayer or almsgiving or some combination of the three, don't tell me about it. Right? Keep it between you and the Lord. Right? Maybe your husband or wife, right? If it involves them too, especially, right? But let that be something that you keep between you and the Lord so that your relationship with the Lord can be your relationship with the Lord. And then the spiritual fruits of whatever that penance is will show forth to the world. And that will be the witness, right? That will be the witness that we're called to as Christians. That's how we preach the gospel to other people, by allowing the fruits of our own relationship with God to show forth in our life. So as we enter this time of Lent, as we begin this campaign of Christian service, as we prayed in our opening prayer, we ask that the Lord would draw each and every one of us deeply into that relationship with him, that he would draw us to a deep place of conversion, a deep place of repentance, and a deep place of love for him, so that our hearts can be open to receive his grace and be transformed into the saints that he calls us to be.